We're going to talk about Spider-Man 2 and Sony attempting to spin Sweet Baby Inc.'s influence Marvel's Spider-Man 2 as a great success, despite the sales not even reaching half of the original game. Whether or not you liked Spider-Man 2 doesn't matter to me. I'm just going to speak from a financial standpoint. Okay? From a financial standpoint, I am starting to wonder and question, how can we consider Spider-Man 2 to be a success? I guess if you want to look at whatever the budget or whatever the case may be, but it sounds like copium. It sounds like copium because the original Spider-Man game sold phenomenally. It did. But let's see. It says Sony's attempted to spin the Sweet Baby Inc. influenced Marvel Spider-Man 2 as a great success, despite the game not even selling half of what the original game sold. In Sony's latest financial report for its games and network services segment, a slide featuring Marvel Spider-Man 2 claims great success for a major PlayStation Studio game series and category. It also reveals the game only sold over 11 million copies. Now, okay, let's be a little bit fair. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like 11 million copies is not a fantastic number. Pretty good number, okay? But it all depends on how much they spent. That's really where it takes precedence. How much did they spend to make Spider-Man 2? And then on top of that, it also shows that there is a disconnect happening here. Something somewhere is disconnected, right? So if Spider-Man 1 sold a little over 30 some odd million copies, which I believe was the number, and Spider-Man 2 only sold 11 million copies, then there is a massive disconnect here. And you got to start asking why that is, right? And people are going to try to downplay the conversation and be like, well, you're just mad. There's a black Spider-Man. It's like, bro, first off, relax. Second off, he's Miles Morales. Third off, you are still defending a game that sold 1/3 as well as the previous one. So it says, while 11 million units might seem like a great success, Sony sales data that was leaked to Reset Era at the end of 2023 revealed that the 2018 game Marvel Spider-Man sold 22.68 million units. Oh, really? I thought it was 30 million. That's interesting. Is that only on one console? I don't know. I could have sworn it was over 30 million copies. Interesting. I mean, still, half is pretty fucking terrible. But I could have sworn it was 30 million. I got to look that up. Sold 22.685 million units and net sales totaled to $827 million. Even the 2020 Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales game sold 11 million copies and had net sales totaling 427 million. That's interesting that Miles Morales sold the same amount as Spider-Man 2. That's really interesting to me because a lot of people were upset that you were forced to play as Miles Morales in Spider-Man 2. So it would make sense that the people who bought Miles Morales' game would be more likely to buy Spider-Man 2, considering that you have to play as Miles Morales sometimes. That's a very interesting numerical comparison. Then it says that to provide some color, choice of words, man. Choice of words. Not even Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania saw its revenues decline by over 50% compared to previous Ant-Man films. The film grossed $463 million worldwide. The original film grossed $518 million, and the sequel did $623 million. That's only a 10% decrease from the first film. Well, I mean, yeah, I can't even argue that. Can't even argue that, man. That is a massive loss. Losing 50% of your player base is fucking huge. It's honestly huge because you got to think about it. Anything that loses over 50% of its viewer base or player base, it's probably not going to do very well the third time around. I would almost imagine that Spider-Man 3 is probably not going to do very well, especially if they keep up this bullshit about trying to make Miles Morales the mainstay character. I'll put it to you like this. If they make Miles Morales the mainstay character in Spider-Man 3, like a lot of people are saying, that game's going to flop massively. Massively. It's going to be pretty fucking terrible. So something is preventing people from buying this game en masse like they did with the first Spider-Man. Something's doing that. You can make up conspiracies as to what that is, but something's doing it. And after a while, you got to kind of admit you probably made a bad choice here, you know? So again, 11 million units is clearly a significant number of sales. However, given the fact that the first game sold 22.685 million units and Spider-Man Miles Morales sold 11.125 million copies, one would have expected the sequel to potentially have sold more units than the first game, or at least only have a marginal drop. Well, Spider-Man 2 is not on PC yet, right? Is that correct? Let's find out. Let's find out. I believe it's not. It's not on. Let me see. Spider-Man 2. No, it's not on PC yet. So, but Spider-Man is on PC. So Spider-Man being on PC definitely got a boost, I would imagine. So we would have to compare the numbers when Spider-Man 2 gets on PC to see if it helps at all. And then kind of go from there. But Spider-Man 1 being on PC, that's a big boost. Even Spider-Man Miles Morales is on PC. So the first two initial Spider-Man games are on PC, but Spider-Man 2 is not. So I would like to revisit this number. I would like to revisit this comparison when Spider-Man 2 eventually gets on PC, and then see if going on PC is going to save this game in any way, shape, or form. But I gotta imagine it's probably not going to make up the half lost number. That's just too much to make up. You know what I'm saying? That's way too much to make up. You lost half of your player base, bro. Half of your player base. How are you going to make that up with just a PC release? I just don't see it. Maybe 20%. Maybe you can make up 20% if you're lucky. But half? Yeah, nah, bro. That's just too much. That's way too much. Then it says that he explained. Hold on. Let's go back up. In fact, PlayStation Studios' Herman Hulse detailed in February that the company was laying off a significant number of employees at Marvel's Spider-Man 2 developer Insomniac Games. He detailed in a blog post that there will be reductions at Insomniac Games and Naughty Dog, as well as the technology, creative, and supportive teams. Well, yeah, the fact that they're taking reductions just proves that this game is probably not doing that well. He later added that we looked at our studios and our portfolio, evaluating projects in various stages of development, and have decided that some of those projects will not move forward. I want to be clear that the decision to stop work on these projects is not a reflection of the talent or passion of team members. Of course it's not. Because at the end of the day, money talks, man. Money talks. Like all this kumbaya bullshit, that don't mean anything. That don't mean anything. You can talk about activism, you can talk about identity politics, you can talk about all that shit. None of that means anything. At the end of the day, the market's going to decide whether or not you're successful. And they decided that Spider-Man 2 will not be considered a success compared to the first one. And it's kind of like when in Hollywood, I'll end it like this. In Hollywood, you see all of them, when a bad movie comes out and it's getting roasted, what do? Every single one of them tries to claim that the movie is number one in the US. It's so successful. Everybody has seen, it's a must-see. It's the must-see movie of the year. Even though the film is doing terrible. But regardless, they're never going to admit it. It's the same thing with games, too. They're not going to sit there and be like, yeah, this game fucking bombed. Yeah, no, they're not going to do that. They're just not going to do that. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, when the game comes out on PC, that's when we'll get a real comparison. As of right now, we can't really compare, but it's not going to save the game. I highly doubt it.